The ink on the divorce papers had barely dried when Ethan Blackwood laughed, tossing the document onto the red mahogany table like a piece of garbage. Finally, he smirked, wrapping his arm around the shoulders of the younger and more glamorous woman sitting beside him. I am free from this ballast. In the corner, his mother Victoria Blackwood swayed a glass of wine, smirking as she watched the woman who was packing her meager belongings into a cardboard box. They thought they were ridding themselves of a simple penniless housewife who knew nothing about the world of business. They had no idea that the ballast they were mocking was actually Sophia Ravenwood, the secret owner of the very conglomerate that Ethan was begging to buy his crumbling company. They were not merely signing a divorce, they were signing their own death warrant. The grandfather clock in the hallway of the Blackwood mansion struck 7 times. The sound echoed across the cold marble floor like a funeral knell. This was supposed to be a celebration. It was the 3rd anniversary of Ethan and Sophia's wedding, yet the atmosphere in the dining room was so thick one could choke on it. Sophia sat at the far end of the long polished table. She had spent half the day preparing the roast beef exactly the way Ethan liked it, rare with creamy horseradish on the side. But when she served it, they told her they were expecting a guest. She lowered her gaze to her hands, still red from washing the floors earlier that day. Despite marrying into the wealthy Blackwood family, she had never been treated as a wife. To Victoria Blackwood, the matriarch whose icy stare could freeze a blazing fire, Sophia was nothing more than a glorified maid. Stop fidgeting, Sophia. Victoria snapped from the head of the table. She adjusted her pearl necklace and narrowed her eyes. You look nervous and guilty. I am sorry, Victoria, Sophia said softly, placing her hands on her knees. I just thought we would be dining at 6 o'clock. The food is getting cold. We eat when Ethan says so, Victoria retorted. This week he is closing the biggest deal of his life, a merger with the Ravenwood Group. But I suppose that means nothing to you. You have never worked a single day in your life. Sophia bit her lip to suppress a chuckle. The Ravenwood Group. If only they knew. At that moment the heavy oak doors swung open and Ethan entered, looking every inch the rising star of architecture he believed himself to be. He was handsome, with a jawline sharp enough to cut glass, dressed in expensive suits that concealed the fact his firm was drowning in debt. But he was not alone. Clinging to his arm, wearing a red silk dress worth more than Sophia's entire wardrobe, was Serena Vale. Serena was the daughter of one of the city's minor investors, loud and flashy, and for the past 6 months she had worked as Ethan's assistant. Sophia knew it. She had seen the messages. She had smelled the perfume. Yet she had stayed, hoping Ethan would remember the man he had been when they met in the coffee shop 3 years earlier, when he was modest and she was simply Sophie. Ethan, Sophia stood. Her napkin slipped to the floor. What is she doing here? Ethan did not even glance at her. He pulled out a chair for Serena right beside his mother. Sit down, Sophia. We need to talk. Serena smirked, flipping her blonde hair over her shoulder as she said hello, Sophia. The roast beef looks a little dry. Victoria smirked, sipping her Chardonnay. Finally some color at this table. Serena, darling, you look stunning. Thank you, Victoria, Serena purred. Ethan has told me so much about your exquisite taste. Sophia remained standing, her heart hammering against her ribs. Ethan, today is our anniversary. I know what day it is, Ethan said, his voice empty of emotion. He finally turned to his wife, eyes cold and hard. That is exactly why I chose today. It felt poetic to end everything on the day it began. He reached into his briefcase, pulled out a thick yellow envelope, and slid it across the table until it stopped in front of Sophia's empty plate. Divorce papers, he stated dryly. The room fell silent except for the clink of Serena's fork as she poked at the roast beef. Are you joking? Sophia whispered, clearing her throat. I do not joke about my future, Ethan replied. Look at yourself, Sophia. Look at this. He gestured vaguely at her simple cotton dress and lack of jewelry. I am about to become a partner in the Ravenwood Group. I will be a global player. I need a wife who matches that role, a wife who brings connections, capital, and class. And you bring laundry detergent and silence. I supported you, Sophia said. Her voice trembled, but not with tears, it was pure rage. When you opened the firm, who stayed up all night doing the bookkeeping? Who organized your schedule? Who comforted you when the bank threatened foreclosure? Administrative work, Victoria sneered, waving a dismissive hand. Any secretary on minimum wage could have done that. Serena, on the other hand, has introduced Ethan to 3 major developers just this month. And, Serena added, leaning forward with a predatory glint in her eyes, I am pregnant. The air left the room. Sophia's gaze moved from Serena's smug face to Ethan's defiant one. It is a boy, Ethan said with a pride he had never shown Sophia. An heir, something you clearly could not give me. It was a blow below the belt. They both knew Sophia could not become pregnant because of medical complications she had disclosed before the wedding. Complications Ethan had sworn did not matter. Sophia slowly reached out and touched the envelope. You want a divorce because my status is not high enough for you, because you think you have outgrown me. It is just business, Sophia, Ethan said, pouring himself a glass of wine. Do not make a scene. The terms are fair. You get the old Honda and I will give you 2 million rubles in cash to start over. But you leave the house this evening. Serena is moving in tonight. This evening? Sophia asked. This evening, Victoria commanded. I will not let this drag on. Sign the papers, take the check, and return to the Khrushchevira apartment you crawled out of. Sophia looked at the 3 of them. The ambitious, unfaithful husband, the cruel, status-obsessed mother, the greedy mistress. They looked like a painting of pure greed. She did not cry. The sadness she had expected to feel burned away in an instant of icy, razor-sharp clarity. She opened the envelope. She did not read the terms. She did not ask for a lawyer. She took a cheap ballpoint pen from her pocket and with a steady hand wrote her name. Sophia Ravenwood. Usually she signed as Blackwood, but today she reclaimed her maiden name. They were too busy gloating to notice the difference. Done, Sophia said, sliding the documents back. Good girl, Ethan said with relief. He tossed his checkbook onto the table. I will write the check right now. Leave it, Sophia said. Her voice dropped an octave, losing every trace of soft submission. You will need every penny. Please, Serena laughed. Is that a threat? Sophia turned and walked toward the door. She did not look back. It is not a threat, Serena. It is financial advice. The heavy front door of the Blackwood mansion slammed shut behind her, cutting off the warmth and light of the house. Outside, the night was cool and a light rain had begun to fall, fogging the windshield of the 10-year-old Honda Civic parked in the driveway, the only asset she had been allowed to keep. Sophia paused on the porch for a moment, listening to the muffled laughter drifting from the dining room. They were raising toasts, celebrating her removal as if she were a tumor excised from the family body. She walked to the car, opened the trunk, and placed the single box she had packed that morning inside. She had known this was coming. Perhaps not the pregnancy, but the end. Ethan had been distant for months, hiding his phone, coming home smelling of expensive gin and lies. She had prepared. She slid into the driver's seat. The interior smelled of old coffee and the vanilla air freshener she had bought to mask the scent of Ethan's gym bag. She inserted the key but did not turn it. Instead, she reached into the glove compartment and pulled out an elegant black phone on a secure line, a device she had not powered on for 3 years. She pressed the button. The screen glowed with a simple logo. A golden letter are entwined with a laurel wreath. She dialed the only number. 1 ring. Madam Ravenwood, answered a deep, cultured voice. It was Arthur, head of staff at Ravenwood Holdings and the man who had raised her after her parents perished in a plane crash, leaving her the sole heiress of an empire worth 4 trillion rubles. It is over, Arthur, Sophia said. There was nothing left of the meek housewife who had just been thrown onto the street. Her voice was steel and ice. I am sorry to hear that. Or perhaps congratulations are in order. Arthur asked gently. He signed the divorce papers. Now he is with a woman named Serena and awaiting the merger meeting on Monday. Yes, awaiting, Arthur confirmed. The board is preparing final contracts for the acquisition of Blackwood Architecture. They believe they are buying a promising firm with a brilliant leader. Suspend the contracts, Sophia ordered. Cancel the acquisition offer. And launch the Red Protocol on Blackwood Architecture. I want a forensic accounting audit of every account, starting tomorrow morning. Every invoice, every permit, every tax declaration. That is aggressive, Arthur noted, though she could hear the smile in his voice. And the Monday meeting? Keep the meeting, Sophia said, watching the house lights flicker in the rearview mirror. But change the venue to conference room on the penthouse level. And Arthur, ensure security understands that Mr. Blackwood is not to be treated as a VIP. He is a bankrupt supplier. Understood. Where will you stay? The penthouse is ready. I am returning home. Arthur, send a car to the intersection of Lennon and Sadovaya Streets. I will leave this junk heap there. Sophia started the Honda and backed out of the driveway. In the window she saw Ethan's silhouette raising a glass of champagne. He looked like a king surveying his kingdom. Enjoy it, Ethan, she whispered. That is the last drink you will ever savor. She drove to the quiet intersection in the city centre. There, engines running, waited a column of 3 black SUVs. A tall man in a dark suit stepped from the lead Rolls-Royce Phantom. Arthur looked older than she remembered, his hair now completely white, yet his posture remained as rigid as ever. He opened the rear door. Welcome back, Madam Chairman, Arthur said with a slight bow. Sophia stepped out of the Honda, leaving the keys in the ignition and the door wide open. She did not glance at it again. She slipped into the leather interior of the Rolls-Royce, instantly wrapped in the world she had abandoned for love that had proven to be nothing but a cheap counterfeit. Arthur, Sophia said as the car glided smoothly into city traffic, get me a full dossier on Serena Vale's father's investments and find the best intellectual property lawyer in the city. Ethan thinks he is an architect. I intend to remind him that half of his brilliant projects were sketched on napkins by his wife. Arthur handed her a tablet. I anticipated you. And the Blackwood family. Victoria Sophia scrolled through the information, her face lit by the blue glow of the screen. Victoria cares about 2 things: her social status and the charity gala next weekend. Buy the venue. Buy the hotel where the gala is held. Cancel her reservation. Tell them we are doing renovations. Arthur smirked. Very well. The weekend passed for the Blackwoods in a haze of hedonistic celebration. Ethan and Serena spent Saturday buying baby clothes and viewing penthouses they could not yet afford, yet Ethan was confident. The deal with the Ravenwood Group was in his pocket, a 4 billion ruble purchase. He was to become Chief Operating Officer of the new division. He was untouchable. Victoria spent her time calling her circle of friends, subtly hinting that Ethan had finally shed his extra baggage and that the family was about to ascend to a higher tax bracket. She painted Sophia as a tragic, clingy figure who had to be paid to disappear. On Monday morning, Ethan dressed in his best Italian suit and checked his reflection. You look like a millionaire, Serena purred from the bed, rubbing her belly. Not yet, Ethan grinned, straightening his tie. But by noon I will be close. He grabbed his briefcase. See you at dinner. Book a table at the Empire restaurant. We will celebrate properly.